Live from ABC7, this is Eyewitness News at 7 p.m. on LA56.
It's happened again. A plane gone missing. Still no sign of an AirAsia flight. Today, crews continue their search one day after the plane mysteriously disappeared off the coast of Indonesia.
We now know when the autopsy will be released on the police shooting of Izell Ford.
A surfer attacked by a great white shark off the Central Coast, and his friend saw it all happen. Good evening, everyone. I'm Jory Rand.
I'm Giovanna Lotta. Welcome to Eyewitness News on LA56, LA's only live local newscast at 7 p.m. It is day 2 of the search for AirAsia Flight 8501. The Indonesian Navy is leading the effort, but has received additional support from Singapore, Malaysia, and Australia. The plane vanished yesterday somewhere over the Java Sea. Eyewitness News reporter Melissa McBride joins us live in the newsroom with the latest on the search. Melissa.
Giovanna, there are 12 Navy ships, 5 planes, and 3 helicopters aiding in the search. Indonesia is also getting help from 3 other countries. Authorities say the visibility is good the day after thunderstorms were in the region.
In Indonesia and in Singapore, distraught relatives wait for news of their loved ones as helicopters, planes, and ships look for any sign of the missing jetliner. Most of the 162 people on board Flight 8501 were Indonesian. There were 16 children, 1 infant, and a crew of 6. This woman's fiancé was a passenger.
When I was on my way to the airport, I listened to the radio, local radio, and stated that his plane was missing.
The AirAsia plane departed Surabaya, Indonesia for a 2-hour flight to Singapore. Over the Java Sea, the jetliner encountered severe thunderstorms and turbulence. The pilot radioed he wanted to go above the weather and climb significantly from 32,000 feet to 38,000 feet. 5 minutes later, the jet disappeared off Indonesian radar 42 minutes into the flight. Barry Schiff is an aviation expert.
Air traffic controllers have nothing to do with keeping aircraft safe. They only keep aircraft separated. They're traffic controllers. As far as maintaining safe flight because of threatening weather, that's the pilot's responsibility.
The airline and the Airbus 320 have good safety records, and the pilots were experienced. AirAsia has been flying since 2001. The founder of the low-cost airline says this is his worst nightmare.
Obviously, there was storm clouds, and the pilot had made a request to change altitude. That's as far as we know. We don't want to speculate as to whether weather was a contributor.
Unlike the Malaysia Airlines flight that was never found in the Indian Ocean, aviation experts say the Java Sea is not as deep. Search crews have a better chance of locating the wreckage of Flight 8501. Live in the newsroom, I'm Melissa McBride, ABC7 Eyewitness News.
Melissa, thank you. We'll stay on top of the story and bring you updates throughout the show, and you can stay on top of breaking news wherever you are. Just download our free ABC7 app and get alerts directly on your mobile device. It's available in the App Store, Google Play, and on Amazon.
Another big story we're following tonight, a deadly fire on a packed ferry in Greece. Hundreds of passengers trapped on board, including children. ABC's Hamish McDonald explains rough weather is playing a big role in the rescue.
This is the nail-biting moment a mother and her children are pulled to safety. The Italian Navy winches them up. They're all being rescued from a burning ship. But it's a race against time. Tonight that ship is still burning and hundreds are still stranded. The Norman Atlantic, carrying almost 500 people, had left the Greek port of Patra, sailing towards Ancona in Italy. Fire broke out on the car deck, and hundreds are now cordoned on the upper decks, waiting for rescue. There were hundreds of containers with oil. They went on fire, says this survivor. Floors started collapsing from the heat. One passenger captured these images on board before being rescued. Flames engulfed the ship's interior. Outside, they wait for help. At least 160 people have already been evacuated, but gale force winds and poor visibility are hampering those rescue efforts. One man died when he jumped overboard. Merchant ships nearby are now lining up to form a barrier to protect the ferry from towering waves. Passengers say that as they went below deck to access lifeboats, Their shoes melted from the heat. We're now hearing desperate accounts from those still stuck on board. They say they are outside, cold, wet and surrounded by smoke. They're frantically asking for help. The authorities say that the major blaze is now under control, but this is still very much a race against the clock to get them to safety. Hamish McDonald, ABC News, London.
In Italy, rescue crews will resume their search tomorrow for the missing crew members of a cargo ship that sank off the coast. The Turkish ship went under after colliding with another merchant vessel from Belize near an Italian port. 2 of its crew members were killed and 4 others are missing in the cold, rough seas. The search was suspended overnight. No one was hurt on the other ship, but it was docked pending the investigation.
Well, it wasn't a white Christmas, but we may have a white New Year's. Jonathan Novak is in for Danny Romero. He's got a first check of our forecast. Jonathan.
It's a week late, but it's all right.
We'll take it.
We'll take it. Winter storm watch is in effect. In fact, Tuesday and Wednesday, not just the mountain locations, but the Antelope Valley. Okay, we got snow on the way, folks. In the meantime, we got one more day left with a lot of weather like we saw, a lot like today, where temperatures were below average, but it was mostly sunny. 52 is our temperature right now in downtown. The winds are calm. And around the board, across the board, and 51 in Ojai. We got a lot of 50s around, in fact, but it looks like 34 in Big Bear. Hey, Big Bear, get ready for single-digit temperatures as we see this next system dip to the south and bring not just the snow, but frigid air. I'll detail that in the 7-day forecast. Looks like it could be a very cold white start to January 2015.
Thank you, Jonathan. Los Angeles police officers fatally shot Ezell Ford in August. Now, Eyewitness News has learned Ford's autopsy report will be released tomorrow. Authorities say Ford was not armed when he was killed. Eyewitness News reporter Amy Powell has reaction from civil rights leaders.
A memorial remains in place at the corner of 65th Street and Broadway. That's where an unarmed man, 25-year-old Ezell Ford, was shot and killed by 2 LAPD officers on August 11th. The coroner's autopsy report on Ford's death has not been released. The LAPD put the report on hold during its investigation of the shooting.
When you hold a report, even though we understand what the LAPD has said and their reason, still it raises suspicions about a report. That, in fact, this is not going to be fair, objective.
The LAPD says the officer shot Ford after he tried to grab one of their guns during a struggle. At the time of the shooting, some witnesses claimed Ford was face down when he was fatally wounded. An attorney representing Ford's family describes him as mentally challenged and says he did nothing wrong. Demonstrators have held several rallies and marches to protest the shooting. Activists say if the autopsy report indicates the officers used excessive force, they should be prosecuted.
As we've said before, we're not second-guessing, we don't know. But if it does show that there was wrongdoing on the part of the officers, the next step is, will there be punishment for these officers? That is what we're asking.
Eyewitness News has confirmed that the autopsy report will be released on Monday, but it won't be the final word. Community leaders say the Ford family has requested their own autopsy report. In South Los Angeles, Amy Powell, ABC7 Eyewitness News.
Amy, thank you. At least one person was arrested following a pro-police rally in downtown L.A. Dozens of police officers and their families gathered today in front of the steps of City Hall, all decked out in blue to promote unity and support of law enforcement here and across the country. At one point, another group of anti-police protesters showed up, sparking tension between the groups. But those we spoke to say today's rally was not political. They just came out to show their support for those who put their lives on the line every day.
It's just a dangerous world out there, and sleepless nights sometimes for myself and my children. And as a wife of an officer, I have to be supportive and strong for my family.
Again, there was one person arrested for battery, but it was not against an officer. No other information was released.
A hectic scene during a police brutality protest in Hollywood. Last night, police responded to reports of a traffic collision during the protest. Investigators say some protesters walked out into the roadway in the crosswalk, but they didn't have the right of way and they slammed their hands on the car hood. A rescue ambulance was called to the scene, but police say the protesters had already left.
A heartbreaking day in Castaic. A ferocious fire destroys a mobile home and kills an elderly woman. Sarah Roberts sent us these photos of the scene. The blaze broke out just after 3 o'clock this morning. Firefighters raced to the scene on Heavenly Way. They battled the flames, and once inside, found a woman's body. She's been identified as 73-year-old Jacqueline Fiedler. Neighbors say she was very sweet and bedridden because of diabetes and other health problems. She lived there with her husband, Walter. Some say they woke up to her screams, and one neighbor tried his best to save her.
It was completely engulfed. The flames were way up in the air, and I walked over and saw Walter sitting over here, and black, singed hair, in shock.
I busted out the windows with my hands. We yelled in there, to see if I could still hear anyone screaming. I went to the other door. That was engulfed in flames.
The victim's husband was rushed to the hospital. Investigators are still trying to find out what caused the fire. In Compton, a raging fire sends 5 firefighters to the hospital. This was the scene at a converted garage on East Laurel Street. 2 firefighters were on top of the roof when it collapsed. 2 others were inside when they fell. All 4 were briefly trapped in the debris, and a 5th firefighter trying to come rescue them was injured as well. Authorities say all 5 firefighters will recover.
One man is lucky to make it to the new year after surviving a great white shark attack off California's central coast west of San Luis Obispo. Witnesses say the man, who's in his 50s, was surfing off Sandspit Beach when the 8 to 10 foot long shark appeared and bit him on the right hip today. Here's how the victim's surfboard looked after the attack. A friend who was surfing next to him describes how quickly everything happened.
What had happened is to come up, hit him from below, obviously, and the whole body just twisted and took him under the water.
The friend says the victim popped right back up on his board, yelled shark, and paddled as fast as he could to shore. An off-duty medic who was on the beach treated him until more help arrived. The victim was flown to a hospital. Signs are now posted at the beach warning the public that a great white could be lurking nearby.
How scary is that?
Yeah.
Coming up on Eyewitness News, a little boy is being hailed a hero after helping save his family from a house fire.
And it marks the end of the war in Afghanistan. We'll have the details on a ceremony today officially ending the conflict.
Plus, an incredible tale of survival. One man stuck in the frozen tundra of Alaska fights off wild animals all while injured. His amazing story when we come back. "24 people have been killed in floods and mudslides in the small island nation of Sri Lanka over the past week. 8 others are missing. The country has been getting pounded with heavy rain. About 100,000 people have lost their homes or been evacuated to safer locations. The biggest damage was reported in a southeastern district where 14 people were killed by mudslides. Dozens of tea plantation workers were also killed in the same district back in October when mudslides buried their homes.
New border clashes between ISIS militants and Kurdish fighters. Plumes of smoke rose above the Syrian town of Kobani today. The Islamic State group began the offensive in mid-September and quickly overran much of the town. Kurdish fighters have been slowly advancing in recent weeks with the support of Iraqi fighters. The U.S.-led coalition has also played a key role, carrying out waves of airstrikes against ISIS positions. Hundreds of fighters on both sides have been killed.
A ceremony today marked the end of a 13-year war in Afghanistan. The U.S. and NATO allies have now formally ended the war that began after the 9/11 attacks. The ceremony was held at the main base in Kabul this morning. The U.S.-led effort will now transition to more of a supporting role on January 1st that will focus on training Afghanistan's military. In the past 13 years, more than 2,200 American soldiers lost their lives in Afghanistan.
In North Korea, leader Kim Jong-un is apparently looking to put the Sony hacking and the release of the interview behind him. State-run media says he presided over a ceremony honoring Marine workers in Pyongyang yesterday. These photos show Kim greeting workers and shaking hands. According to North Korea's Korean Central News Agency, Kim gave commendations to exemplary officials and deserving logistic personnel in the fishery field of the Korean People's Army. Meantime, Sony's PlayStation Network is back online after a 3-day outage. A group of hackers called Lizard Squad took credit for the disruptions, which began on Christmas. Sony says heavy traffic may continue to cause problems for customers seeking to play video games. Microsoft's Xbox Live service, which also went down Thursday, was back online Friday, although the company reported continuing problems.
All right, things are chilly, going to get even colder. May see some rain or some snow. Jonathan's in for Danny this week.
This was last night? Doing this.
Down to 0.
Wow. 0.
Wow.
January 1st morning in the mountains.
That is cold.
Well, that's cold to say the least. Yeah. What's on that? Well, give me another one.
Staying down here.
Frigid.
Freezing. Yeah, definitely freezing. It's been freezing for a while at that point, yeah. All right, live Megadopoulos 7000 HD. We're dry right now. You know, we've had a dry last few days, but it has been cold, windy at times, but no precipitation. We need some rain. We need some snow. We need to get some, mainly snow. 63 was our high today in downtown. Normally we're at 68, so below average. LAX at 55. There at the coast, 3 miles an hour, light winds tonight. Let's see what's happening around the area. Again, 40 in Wrightwood, but 32 already in Big Bear. You guys are looking ahead to really, really cold air diving south from Canada going into Tuesday and Wednesday. 50s for most of the coastal areas into the valleys right now. And that high pressure area that has been giving us that northeast breezy flow is going to be replaced by this big trough of low pressure right here as it digs south Tuesday and Wednesday. And it's going to bring very cold, as you see where it's coming from, Canadian air, and it's got enough moisture to work with. We'll get some snow out of it. Maybe some rain in LA. There's just not a ton of moisture in the air, so it's a very dry system. So we'll get some snow, but we could have otherwise gotten a lot more if we'd had the moisture in the air. I just don't think it's going to happen. But 4 p.m. through Tuesday night into Wednesday is where the time frame is. In fact, that's where the winter storm watch is in effect from. Tuesday 4 p.m. through Wednesday 4 p.m. That includes the Antelope Valley. So yes, Palmdale, Lancaster, you guys could see 1, maybe even 3, up to 3 inches of snow the Tuesday, Wednesday time frame. Generally speaking, 3 to 6 inches. Could see a foot in the north-facing slopes where that's going to be closer to that source there up to the north as that system approaches. So yeah, that's not going to be a widespread thing, though. So look for about 3 to 6 inches overall. And then very cold weather coming in. 45 overnight in Anaheim. Looking for some 30s in some of the inland areas around Ventura County, some of the valley locations. And then 44 in downtown LA. 62 for a high tomorrow. 60 on Tuesday. Clouds roll in. Wednesday, cloudy. We've got rain showers around for LA and for the valleys and the beach. The snow contained to the mountains and the Antelope Valley. So a few showers in the valleys, i.e. 57. Look at the high on Wednesday. 54. Definitely bring the coat for New Year's Eve. The beaches, even you have a slight chance there of some of that moisture to make it toward your area and for that system to lift up a few showers for you. 39 has started off for the New Year in the beaches. Mountains, okay, this is where it's at. 40% chance in the afternoon of some snow showers. That increases to 90% overnight to Wednesday, 3 to 6 inches for most spots. 21 for a high Wednesday, 22 on Thursday, and there's the 0 to start off January 1st. In the morning, it is 0, 22 for high, and then also cold in the high desert. Could see a couple of inches of snow accumulate as well with this system. We're watching it for you. Back to you guys at the desk.
Thank you. A 12-year-old boy from Indiana is being called a hero this morning, or today, after helping save his family. The boy rushed to get everyone out of their burning home. Barbara Kaywood is holding her kids a little tighter these days. She says it's all thanks to her 12-year-old son, Natavian. On Christmas Eve, their home caught fire, and Natavian was the only one to hear the fire alarm. He rushed to wake up his mom and help get his younger siblings to safety.
But I was just trying to get them in the car so they wouldn't breathe in the smoke. I'm very proud of him, and I'm thankful for him, and he's always going to be my hero.
The Kaywoods lost everything in the fire, but they say they are just happy to be alive.
Now to a truly incredible story of survival. A man lost and injured in the frozen Alaskan wilderness.
He had to fight not only the cold, but wild animals too. ABC's Aditi Roy with the amazing story.
Yeah, I think it's a miracle that I'm alive.
By all accounts, Craig Johnson shouldn't be alive.
I also couldn't feel my legs from here on down.
Johnson was in the middle of an 80-mile trip on his snow machine to visit family in Barrow, Alaska, when the vehicle crashed through the ice, catapulting Johnson waist-deep in frigid seawater.
I knew I had to get walking because I knew if I stand there any longer, I'm going to freeze to death.
His clothes soaking wet, Johnson trekked 30 miles in the pitch dark through the frozen wilderness on the northernmost tip of Alaska. Temperatures 35 below zero. His lung punctured, but his will strong. Then another chilling moment. A wolverine chases him.
It made me keep going because I didn't want to be bait.
Finally, Johnson found shelter in this wooden box, only 4 feet long. By this time, search parties were looking for him, but the choppers passing right over him.
When they just passed right by me, I just couldn't stop crying.
How did he survive? Experts say the human body has defenses that kick in to keep you alive in severe cold. Shivering generates heat. Then your body starts redirecting blood from your face, hands, arms, and legs to vital organs. After 3 days, Johnson was rescued by his cousin.
Something inside me made me scream at him, telling him I'm right here.
He was just yelling, "Ah, I'm here!"
Tonight, Johnson recovering at the hospital, surviving the wilderness and the odds. Aditi Roy, ABC News, Los Angeles.
That is quite a story.
Unbelievable.
Wow. With just days until New Year's Eve, Grand Park is undergoing a transformation.
Still to come, we'll show you how crews are setting the stage for that big celebration.
Plus, the Rose Parade is just a few days away. That means people are working around the clock to get the floats ready. We'll have a sneak peek.
As many as 50,000 people will ring in the new year in Grand Park in downtown LA. The park is already undergoing its transformation with the free New Year's Eve party set to go. Today's crews worked on constructing the stages. This year, the space will be 3 times as big, with the fun covering the entire park and some side streets. The celebration will include the tallest interactive sound display ever seen in LA and a digital countdown projected onto 2 sides of City Hall.
If you're celebrating this New Year's Eve, why not make sure to get home safely on the Metro? All Metro bus and rail lines will be providing free service on New Year's Eve. No fares will be charged between 9 p.m. Wednesday and 2 a.m. Thursday morning, New Year's Day. At the Metro rail line stations, all gates will be unlatched during that window so riders can hop on and get home safely.
Great idea. Let's make sure a lot of people take advantage of that. We are updating our top stories at 7:30, including the search for that missing AirAsia jet.
Crews continue combing the Java Sea for clues. We'll have the latest developments.
The 105 freeway is back open after a bizarre takeover that shut down all lanes.
Plus, we'll give you a preview of some floats for the Rose Parade when we come back.
Live from ABC7, this is Eyewitness News at 7:30 p.m. on LA56.
Our top story at 7:30, and the search continues for a missing AirAsia jet. I'm Giovanna Lotta.
I'm Jory Rand. This is Eyewitness News on LA56, LA's only live local newscast at 7:30 p.m. Flight 8501 vanished en route to Singapore yesterday. Now family members of the 162 people on board are anxiously awaiting any news. ABC's David Curley has more.
This tonight, another missing jetliner in Southeast Asia, AirAsia Flight 8501, Within hours, Indonesia says it will have a dozen ships, 3 helicopters, and 5 aircraft looking for any sign of the jetliner, possible wreckage floating on the Java Sea, even though relatives who gathered at airports still held out for better news.
We still have hope. We cannot lose hope.
It was just after 5:30 in the morning that the nearly full Airbus A320 jetliner took off from Indonesia's Surabaya airport, heading northwest to Singapore. But over the Java Sea, the jetliner encounters heavy weather, turbulence. At 6:12, the pilot radios he wants to turn to go around the weather and climb significantly from 32,000 feet to 38,000 feet. It is his last contact. 5 minutes later, 41 minutes into the flight, the jet disappears off Indonesian radar, according to that country's transport ministry.
It's much too soon to do anything but wildly speculate at this point, but the one thing that was here last night that was not present in the Malaysia 370 disappearance is bad weather.
The Malaysian businessman who started this low-cost carrier, AirAsia, tweeted, "This is my worst nightmare," before he flew to Indonesia.
We don't want to speculate anymore. There's a deep sense of depression here, but we'll stay strong.
The airline and the airplane have a good safety record. The pilot experienced. Among the 162 on board, 16 children, passengers mostly from Indonesia. Relatives could not contain their fears, waiting for any word. Louise Siddhartha was waiting in Singapore for her fiancé, who was traveling with his family.
And yeah, it was supposed to be their last vacation before us got married.
So tonight, another mysterious missing jetliner in Southeast Asia. It was just 9 months ago that Malaysian Airlines Flight 370 disappeared and is thought to be at the bottom of the Indian Ocean off Australia. But in this case, a better chance of finding the aircraft, which if it went down, it did so in the Java Sea.
The Java Sea is not that deep, for one thing, and the bottom has been very well mapped.
That was David Curley reporting. The search effort is set to increase as Singapore sends more ships in to help. And we're following all the latest developments on this missing plane story. We'll bring you any updates throughout the newscast, and you can get updates anytime by following us on Twitter at ABC7.
Closer to home, the 105 freeway is back open after a bizarre takeover that shut down all lanes. A sea of cars flooded the freeway near Crenshaw in Hawthorne around 3:30 this morning. There are reports that it was a group of car club cruisers staging some kind of social media stunt. The CHP responded, and for more than an hour, officers questioned drivers, searched vehicles, and gave field sobriety tests. We're told it ended with dozens of arrests and impounds. CHP will hold a news conference tomorrow morning to release more details on the freeway takeover.
Police are investigating a deadly crash in South LA. It happened on 57th west of Gramercy around 2:30 this morning. Investigators say a vehicle crashed into 2 parked cars there. 1 person was killed, 2 others were injured. At this point, police don't know if drugs or alcohol were a factor in the crash.
1 woman is dead in a possible DUI crash in Sylmar. The accident happened around 6:30 this morning near Polk and Foothill. Police say a 58-year-old woman driving the black Toyota ran the red light and was hit by the silver Charger. The vehicles spun out of control and almost hit a nearby building. Investigators suspect the driver of the silver Charger was under the influence of alcohol.
But why is someone running a red light 3 to 4 seconds late, or whatever the time is? Are they doing something in the car so they don't see that light? And they don't stop because they don't even see the lights red. Pay attention to your driving when you're driving.
The woman in the Toyota died. The suspected drunk driver was rushed to the hospital.
The search is still on for the suspect who killed an elderly couple in their Laverne home. LA County Sheriff's deputies were back at the scene today. The groundskeeper found 74-year-old Shirley Isom and her 89-year-old husband, Army Troy Isom, on Friday. Investigators say the 2 were stabbed and suffered blunt force trauma. Deputies are looking for a man neighbors saw walking to and from the home just before the bodies were discovered. And police are still looking for the person who shot 4 people in South Los Angeles yesterday. Police say it started with an argument between 2 groups of men at Figueroa and 88th Place. A man pulled out a gun and opened fire. 1 man was killed. A woman and 2 others were hurt. Friends and family gathered at the scene. The gunman ran from the scene and is still on the loose.
To your weather now, cold temperatures, a little snow, and maybe even some rain. Jonathan Novak is in for Danny Romero tonight, and he's got your forecast. Jonathan?
That's right, Giovanna. Maybe a little rain and a lot of snow. In fact, as we head into the extended forecast, in the meantime, it was cold. It was clear today. Winds were calm, though. They're just 3 miles an hour, 55 as we head to the coast, and 51 Van Nuys in the valley areas. It's going to be another cold one tonight. Temperatures across the board looking like this. 31 Big Bear, 38 Wrightwood, 51 from Burbank over to Oxnard, where it's 54, and 40 in Fraser Park. A winter storm watch has been issued for Tuesday through Wednesday. We have snow ahead, even into the Antelope Valley. Details on the 7-day forecast in a few.
Okay, Jonathan, thanks. In just a few days, all eyes will be on Southern California and the annual Rose Parade. Crews are working furiously today to make sure every piece is in place. Eyewitness News reporter Darsha Phillips shows us how you can see the stunning floats up close before their big debut.
Crowds of people purchase tickets to view the Rose Parade floats, getting their faces put on before they roll down Colorado Boulevard.
It's way bigger and it's more exciting, and you get to see them in person.
People can view the floats before the parade for about $15 up until December 31st. Celine and her family drove in from Joshua Tree to tour the floats and get an up-close and personal view of every last detail.
It's the preparation that goes into it. Everything's tedious, and to the grain of sand or, to the flour or whatever they're doing.
Crews, along with hundreds of volunteers, are working feverishly to get it all done before the first of the year.
The last month, we go into panic mode with decoration and floral and things like that.
Anywhere from coconut to flowers, and you got to mash the coconut, and you have to do everything, and it's tiny, tiny little pieces, and every inch has to be covered.
A favorite among many today,
the big, huge pink hippo.
And now we are going to get a behind-the-scenes look from inside Lily the Zappos hippo. Right now, we're in the belly of the Rose float, a view very few people get to see, and I was told of a little secret. This whole area during the Rose Parade is going to be filled with something that will be sent out through the mouth of a hippo. It's going to be a surprise for the crowd.
We have a gentleman sitting here who's going to be filling up something and sending them out with a blower.
But that's all officials will give away for now. You'll just have to watch the 126th Annual Tournament of Roses Parade on January 1st. In Pasadena, I'm Darsha Phillips, ABC7 Eyewitness News.
And here's some video from Irwindale today where volunteers have been racing against the clock. This year's floats are almost done thanks to thousands of hours of work by volunteers. One of the floats being built in Irwindale is the themed Grow Something Greater by Miracle Grow.
Whether you're in a city or whether you're out in the country, whether you have 40 acres or you have only a little small pot, there's something that you can do. There's something you can grab from this float and take with you and then use it to help you grow throughout the season.
On average, it takes 5,000 hours to decorate each float. This will be the 126th Rose Parade, the theme, Inspiring Stories.
A blessing for the marching band that will be representing Latin America in the Tournament of Roses Parade. Archbishop Jose Gomez blessed the Delfines marching band at the Cathedral of Our Lady of Angels in downtown LA today. Then the 285-member band gave a preview of its parade performance in the Cathedral Plaza. The parade, of course, is this Thursday in Pasadena.
Up next, bringing attention to the Safe Surrender program.
The adoptive parents of a child left at a local fire station meet those firefighters who helped their son nearly 1 year ago.
Plus, a family finds a decades-old time capsule while renovating their home. Now they're trying to track down the person who put it there. The details next.
1 year ago tomorrow, a mother took her newborn son to a Garden Grove fire station and gave him up under the Safe Surrender program. Today, those firefighters, the child, and his adoptive parents met for the first time. The firefighters say they were recently wondering what had happened to that baby boy. A few days later, they got the call that the parents who adopted the child wanted to have a reunion and meet them. The firefighters had a toy fire truck waiting, also a birthday cake. The adoptive mother only wanted to use her first name.
We knew that he was taken to a fire station. We didn't know which one. So I just reached out to the Garden Grove Fire Department and just said, you know, my son was brought to a fire station and we just really want to meet the guys who, were there. And I got a response, and the captain here called me personally and was like, we were there that night and we've been wondering what happened to him. We were just talking about him recently and we would just love to meet him.
And they got to. The Safe Surrender program allows mothers to give up unwanted babies 3 days old or younger at a fire station or a hospital with no questions asked.
A rare discovery inside a Fontana home. A family renovating their house found a time capsule hidden inside their wall. A small Ziploc packet was left there back in 1978. It includes a note written by a 12-year-old boy, some coins, a McDonald's coupon, and other newspaper clippings to prove the date. The note reads, "Hello to whoever finds this. My name is Robert Wright. Today my dad is putting up paneling. Today is November 18th, 1978. 15 till noon. I'm 12 years old and a student at Fontana Junior High, 7th grade. I'm 5'3", blonde hair, hazel eyes, and here's proof of the date, Robert Wright."
I thought it was really cool because, not a lot of people do that, and it's one of those things that, what are the chances of tearing down one section of the house and finding something like that?
Greg Sandoval says he actually made the discovery several years ago, and at the time he did Facebook searches for the owner but didn't have any luck. He says after all these years he can't get himself to throw away the time capsule.
That is pretty cool.
That is a great story.
There's much more news to come, including a luxury yacht that goes up in flames.
We'll show you more of these spectacular images and tell you where it all took place.
And in sports, did the Chiefs and the Chargers season in Kansas City today? The answer next.
Spectacular images of a fire at a floating hotel luxury yacht in Gibraltar. Flames could be seen shooting out of the entrance to the hotel. Firefighters had the fire out in less than 2 hours. There was significant damage to the service entrance and casino, which were evacuated. The fire did not spread to the ship itself. No word yet on a cause, but people heard an explosion. Police say that may have been a result of the fire itself.
A home in Rancho Cucamonga went up in flames this afternoon. It happened on Addison Road. A neighbor in the area sent us this photo using the hashtag ABC7 Eyewitness. You can see flames and smoke coming out of the roof. Thankfully, nobody was injured. 2 classrooms at Lawndale High School were damaged when multiple trash cans caught fire. Crews were called to the school just before 2 o'clock this morning. Investigators are still trying to figure out how those cans caught fire. It's unclear when students will be allowed back inside those damaged classrooms.
Jonathan Novak is in for Danny Romero tonight. It's been really, really cold, and I think it's going to get even colder.
I think you're right. And Jonathan has a look at our cold New Year's week forecast.
Guys, let's take a look at Long Beach right now, where temperatures today were below average, like everybody else, and it's clear skies for the most part. Temperatures will be one of a couple of stories going into the next few days because we have not single digits, but 0 in a 7-day forecast for the mountain areas ahead as we head into the new year. Man, it's going to be cold. 56 at Long Beach, 51 Van Nuys. You've had some winds this week, but look at the winds right now. They're calm. Okay, so things have calmed down. The winds are sort of out of the story because snow's in the 7-day forecast for not just the mountain areas, but for the Palmdale area, where right now it's 45 degrees. We've got a lot of 50s around tonight. Another cold evening ahead. We had some clouds stream on in today with that high-pressure ridge over the area. To the north, though, you see this dip right here in the atmosphere. That's a trough of low pressure. There's a big system coming in from Canada, and the Canadian air that is going to be associated with the system is so cold, we'll see 0 around the mountain areas heading into the New Year, January 1st. Until then, it's still going to be cold, but we have a winter storm watch for Tuesday and Wednesday with that system. So that means we have snow ahead, not just for the mountains, but look here by Palmdale. The Antelope Valley is in that winter storm watch. Accumulations, maybe up to 3 inches of snow for this next system, the Antelope Valley. So tomorrow, not much going on in terms of precipitation. We actually have none for tomorrow. It's going to be a nice day. Tuesday, Wednesday, completely different. We have this winter storm watch in place. 3 to 6 inches for the mountains for snow. 1 to 3 inches in the Antelope Valley. Temps dropping, gusty winds, showers potentially around LA and Ventura County, but the moisture is not there really for widespread activity. So the rain chances are only on the low end. For tomorrow, enjoy it. One more day. Here you go. By 1 p.m., 62, calm, cool, and a few clouds. And the 7-day forecast shows things shake up Tuesday and Wednesday. Now, the question is, for New Year's, if you got plans on Wednesday night, it should be dry, okay? The mountains may see a little bit of snow still going on, but overall it should be dry by Wednesday night. And then by Thursday, we're into the 30s for lows in L.A. and only the 50s for highs to start off January 1st, 2015. Can't believe it's already here. Tuesday and Wednesday for the valleys, IE, are going to be cloudy, some showers around possibly. Again, the chances on the low end, only about 30%, 40%. That's it. For the beaches, 20, 30%, that's it. So we're not looking for a ton of rain from this system. Cold weather for everybody. Windy conditions, yes, but the mountains have the best chance at some precip, and that's going to be, again, in the form of snow for Tuesday, Wednesday, even into Thursday. But look at the temperatures in the mountains. 21 on Wednesday afternoon, 0 January 1st morning, 22 for a high on January 1st. Take that one in. The high desert looking like things are going to be cold as well. We got 48 for high on Wednesday. We start off the new year right around 40 degrees, well below average. Snow in the Antelope Valley. That's when you know you got a good winter system. Back to you guys.
Thanks, Jonathan.
Okay, Jonathan. No doubt you remember the Ice Bucket Challenge that was a viral social media phenomenon this summer.
Now there's a similar effort to raise money for the fight against ALS. It's called Plunge for Pete. More than 500 people jumped into the icy waters off Massachusetts wearing nothing more than shorts or bathing suits. Pete is Pete Frates, the man who inspired the Ice Bucket Challenge. His wife says participation in this year's Plunge for Pete was more than double from last year thanks to the popularity of the Ice Bucket Challenge.
Time to talk sports. After sitting out the past 3 games, Kobe Bryant is in the lineup tonight against the Suns. Kobe played 16 minutes in the first half, only scored 3 points, but the Lakers are up by a point at halftime, 56-55. Complete highlights coming up at 11 o'clock. College hoops, the struggling UCLA men's team at Alabama today. Bruins, just a horrid start. Just 5 points in 11 minutes to start. They trailed by 12 at the break. but they made it interesting late. Isaac Hamilton knocks down 3 of his 15 points, and that ties the game at 48 apiece. Bama answered with a hoop and a free throw, but still, Bryce Alford could have pulled things even with 17 seconds to go. That's an air ball. Bruins lose 56-50. The NFL, Chargers needed a win and some help to make it into the playoffs, taking on KC without quarterback Alex Smith out with a lacerated spleen. You know, Kansas City's wide receivers haven't scored a touchdown in over a year. It looks like they get it. Dwayne Bowe, though, fumbles at the goal line. It goes to Travis Kelce. He's a tight end. Still a touchdown, though. On the ensuing drive, Chargers finally wake up. Phillip Rivers to Eddie Royal. He gets down to the 1, and the Bolts would score one play later. Meantime, KC added 3 field goals. The Chiefs' defense was just too good for the Chargers today. They stuff them on 4th and goal from the 3. Chiefs stunned the Bolts 19-7. No playoffs in San Diego. Back here in Beverly Hills, it was time to get your grub on. Just 5 days shy of their Rose Bowl showdown with Florida State. Oregon getting its turn at the Lowry's Beef Bowl. Plenty of prime rib, mashed potatoes, creamed corn. Calorie counting not recommended this time of year. This is the Ducks' 3rd trip to Lowry's the past 6 seasons. The Seminoles will get their turn tomorrow. And next week will mark the first ever college football playoff. You can watch both semifinal games on ESPN, the Watch ESPN app. Oregon, Florida State will be at 2 in the Rose Bowl. Alabama, Ohio State at 5:30 in the Sugar Bowl. The winners will face off in the national title game January 12th. And that's sports.
New tonight on Eyewitness News at 11 on ABC7, remembering a woman who was robbed and stabbed to death while walking home from a grocery store. The vigil in her honor. And just 16 months after it was launched, the Long Beach Register publishes its last paper. Those stories and all the late-breaking news on Southern California's #1 newscast, Eyewitness News, at 11 on ABC7.
Well, ahead on Eyewitness News here on LA56, we'll tell you what movie topped the box office this weekend.
And the numbers are in. Find out who is the highest grossing actor of 2014 when we come back.
It's another boy for singer Alicia Keys. The Grammy winner and her husband, producer and hip-hop artist Swizz Beatz, welcomed their second child together yesterday. On Instagram, the couple announced the birth of Genesis Ali Dean, saying, quote, "The joy of joy is joy. It's a boy." He joins older brother Egypt, who Keys says is looking forward to being a big brother.
In the battle for the box office, it wasn't the interview, but The Hobbit that took the crown this weekend.
Will you follow me? One last time.
Peter Jackson's final Middle-earth adventure, The Hobbit, The Battle of the Five Armies, took the top spot for a second weekend in a row with an estimated $54.5 million over the four-day holiday. Unbroken raced to second with $47.3 million, and Into the Woods belted out a $46.1 million opening for third place. Rounding out the top five were Night at the Museum, Secret of the Tomb, and Annie. The Interview did score an impressive $2.8 million this weekend in just over 300 theaters.
The numbers are in, and the highest-grossing actress for 2014 is Jennifer Lawrence. According to Forbes magazine, the 24-year-old's movies have grossed $1.4 billion at the box office worldwide this year, and that number is expected to grow with the latest Hunger Games installment still in theaters. Coming in at number 2, Chris Pratt. His role in Guardians of the Galaxy helped earn him $1.2 billion in global grosses. Rounding out the top 5, Scarlett Johansson, Mark Wahlberg, and Chris Evans.
There's a new type of dining experience in Minneapolis, Minnesota. Customers can have a beverage while sitting in a 60-foot-tall Ferris wheel. Betty Danger's Country Club opened Friday. The carriages on the Ferris wheel, which the owners call a mechanical tree, have tables in them so customers can enjoy a drink while being outside. However, the restaurant owners say the Ferris wheel won't be turning until April 1st. For those who prefer to keep their feet on the ground, the restaurant also offers mini golf.
And we are out of time. Thanks for joining us. Eyewitness News at 7 here on LA56. LA56 Weekend Theater is next.
Eyewitness News continues at 11 p.m. on ABC7 and anytime on ABC7.com. Have a great night.